Captain Jinho Park stood on the bridge of the New Seoul, watching the stars through the large front window. His ship was moving slowly through space, carrying important supplies to the human colonies on the edge of known space. It was supposed to be a simple trip. Nothing dangerous, just another trade mission. Jinho had been a captain for 15 years. He was a calm man who never rushed into anything. His crew trusted him completely. They knew he would keep them safe. The New Seoul was not a warship. It was built for carrying people and supplies, not for fighting. "Captain," said Communications Officer Seokmin Han from his seat, "I'm getting some strange signals ahead." Jinho walked over to look at the screen. "What kind of signals?" "I'm not sure. They're not human. The pattern is completely different from anything we use." Dr. Minji Kim looked up from her research station. She was the most important person on the ship. Her father was the Prime Minister of the Korean Federation back on Earth, but she never acted like she was better than anyone else. She worked hard and treated everyone with respect. "Could it be one of the new alien races we've been hearing about?" she asked. "Maybe," Jinho said, "but we're still in human space." "They shouldn't be here." Suddenly the ship shook hard. Red lights started flashing everywhere. The alarm was so loud that everyone had to cover their ears. "Captain," Seokmin shouted, "3 large ships just appeared. They came out of nowhere." Jinho ran back to his chair and looked at the main screen. 3 huge alien ships surrounded the New Seoul. They were twice as big as his ship and covered in strange weapons. The ships were dark gray with red lights running along their sides. They looked like they were built only for war. "This is Captain Jinho Park of the human vessel New Seoul," he said into his communicator. "You are in human space. Please identify yourselves." A voice answered, but it didn't sound human. It was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "Human ship, you will stop your engines. You will not try to run. You will not call for help. Who are you? What do you want?" "We are the Velkari Empire. You are now our prisoners." Jinho felt his heart start beating faster. He had heard stories about the Velkari. They were known for being cruel and smart about how they fought wars. They didn't just use big guns. They used fear and tricks to make their enemies give up. "Sir," whispered Mechanic Jiwon Ko, "should we try to run?" Jinho looked at the screens showing the alien ships. Each one had enough weapons to destroy the New Seoul 10 times over. "No, we wouldn't make it past their first shot." Dr. Minji Kim stood up. "Maybe we can talk to them. Find out what they really want." "The Velkari don't talk," said Jinho. "They take what they want." The alien voice spoke again. "Prepare to be boarded. Anyone who fights will die." Jinho closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his crew, 37 good people who trusted him to keep them safe. He thought about their families back on Earth. He thought about Dr. Kim and how important she was. "All crew," he said over the ship's speakers. "This is the captain. Do not resist. Do not fight. Stay calm and do exactly what they tell you to do." The ship shook again as something attached to the outside. Then there was a loud banging sound as the aliens cut through the hull. Within minutes, the corridors filled with the sound of heavy footsteps. The aliens that came aboard were tall and thin, but they moved like predators. They wore dark armor that covered their entire bodies. Their faces were hidden behind masks that glowed with red lights. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. "All humans to the main cargo area," one of them said in that grinding voice. "Move now." The crew walked slowly down the corridors with the aliens pointing guns at them. Nobody spoke. The only sounds were footsteps and the humming of alien weapons. In the cargo bay, the aliens made all the humans sit on the floor. They kept their weapons pointed at the group while one alien walked around looking at each person. The alien stopped in front of Dr. Minji Kim. It stared at her for a long time. Through its glowing mask, "You," it said. "What is your name?" "Dr. Minji Kim." "Kim." The alien seemed to think about this. "Korean name. Are you related to the Korean Federation leaders?" Dr. Kim lifted her chin. "My father is Prime Minister Hyunwoo Kim." The alien made a sound that might have been laughing. "Perfect. Absolutely perfect." It turned to the other aliens and spoke in their own language. The sounds were harsh and sharp like metal breaking. Then it turned back to the humans. "You are all prisoners of the Velkari Empire. Most of you are not important. But this one," it pointed at Dr. Kim, "she is very valuable. Her father leads one of Earth's most powerful nations." Captain Jinho felt sick. He realized what was happening. The Velkari hadn't just attacked a random ship. They had been watching, waiting. They knew exactly who was on board. "What do you want?" he asked. "We want the human colonies in the Kepler sector, all of them. And now we have the perfect way to get them." The alien walked back to Dr. Kim. "Your father will give us everything we ask for. Humans always do anything to save their leaders' children." Dr. Kim stood up even though the aliens pointed their guns at her. "You don't know humans very well. We know enough. We have studied your movies, your books, your news reports. Humans are weak when it comes to family. They will sacrifice anything to save someone they love." "You're wrong." The alien made that laughing sound again. "We will see. In 72 hours, your father will surrender the colonies or you will die. And everyone in the galaxy will watch it happen." The aliens forced the humans into the ship's storage rooms. The rooms were small and dark. There were no windows and barely enough air to breathe. As the door closed, Jinho heard the alien ship's engines starting up. They were taking the new soul somewhere far from Earth, somewhere no one would find them. In the darkness, he heard Dr. Kim's voice. "Captain Park?" "Yes, Dr. Kim?" "Do you really think my father will give them what they want?" Jinho was quiet for a moment. He thought about everything he knew about humans, about Earth, about the people who had built the colonies that the aliens wanted. "No," he said finally. "I don't think he will." "Neither do I," she said. "And I think these aliens are about to learn something very important about humanity." Outside their prison, the alien ships flew through the darkness toward Velkari space, carrying their prizes. The aliens were confident. They had the perfect hostage. Soon the humans would surrender everything. They had no idea how wrong they were. The message from the Velkari Empire reached Earth exactly 12 hours after the new soul disappeared. It came through every communication channel at once. Radio, television, internet, even the emergency systems that were only used during the worst disasters. The alien voice was cold and clear. "People of Earth, we have captured 37 of your citizens. Among them is Dr. Minji Kim, daughter of Prime Minister Hyunwoo Kim. You have 72 hours to surrender all human colonies in the Kepler sector. If you refuse, she will die. The galaxy will watch." Then the message showed a video. Dr. Minji Kim sat in a small metal chair surrounded by tall aliens in dark armor. She looked tired but not scared. When she spoke, her voice was steady. "My name is Dr. Minji Kim. I am alive and unharmed. To my father and to all humans watching this, do not give these aliens what they want. The colonies are home to millions of people. Do not sacrifice them for me." The video ended. Across Earth, people stared at their screens in shock. In the capital city of Seoul, Prime Minister Hyunwoo Kim sat in his office with his advisors. His hands shook as he watched the message for the third time. His daughter was far away in the hands of creatures who would kill her without feeling anything. "Sir," said his military advisor, General Youngmin Lee, "we need to make a decision quickly. The Velkari are known for keeping their promises about killing hostages. What are our options?" The Prime Minister asked. "We could give them the colonies. It would save your daughter's life, and condemn millions of other people to slavery under the Velkari Empire. Or we could refuse and try to rescue her. But our closest military ships are weeks away from Velkari space. We would never reach her in time." Prime Minister Kim closed his eyes. He thought about his daughter as a little girl, always asking questions about the stars. She had grown up wanting to explore space and help humanity learn about other worlds. Now she was a prisoner because of that dream. There was a knock on the door. His secretary entered. "Sir, the Global Citizens Assembly is demanding an emergency session. Representatives from every nation are already gathering. They want to vote on the response." The Prime Minister nodded. In 1 hour, he would have to face the world. He would have to choose between his daughter and millions of strangers. The Global Assembly Hall was packed. Every seat was filled with representatives from Earth's nations and colonies. Cameras from around the world pointed at the stage. Billions of people were watching. Prime Minister Kim walked slowly to the podium. His face showed every one of his 60 years. When he began to speak, his voice was quiet. "My fellow humans," he said, 60 years ago we took our first steps beyond Earth. We built colonies on distant worlds because we believed that humanity deserved a place among the stars. We believed that freedom was worth any risk." He paused and looked around the huge room. "Today, evil forces have taken my daughter. They want to trade her life for the freedom of millions. They believe that humans are weak, that we will sacrifice anything to save our loved ones. Tears began to run down his face, but his voice grew stronger. They are both right and wrong. We will sacrifice anything for our loved ones, but every human in those colonies is our family. Every child playing in those distant cities is our child. Every parent working to build a better future is our parent. The room was completely silent. My daughter knew the risks when she chose to serve humanity among the stars. She accepted those risks because she believed that some things are more important than any one life, even her own. He took a deep breath. We do not negotiate with those who threaten innocent lives. Our colonies will not be surrendered. The room exploded with noise. Some people cheered. Others shouted in anger. Many just sat in shock. Then the Prime Minister raised his hand for silence. But we are not abandoning my daughter. We are not abandoning any of our people. A new voice spoke from the back of the room. Admiral So-Young Lee, the head of Earth's Space Defense Force, walked toward the stage. She was a small woman with gray hair, but when she moved, everyone could see the strength in her. Citizens of Earth, she said as she reached the microphone. 1 hour ago, I gave an order that some of you might think is crazy. I ordered every available ship in the Earth Defense Force to prepare for immediate departure. The crowd started making noise again, but she continued. But that's not all. I'm asking for volunteers. Every civilian ship, every private vessel, every cargo hauler and passenger transport. If you have a ship that can travel between stars, we need you. People in the crowd stood up. Many were shouting questions. Where are we going? Someone called out. Valkyrie space. We're going to get our people back. How many ships are you talking about? Admiral Lee smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone about to do something very dangerous. As many as it takes. If we need 1,000 ships, we'll bring 1,000. If we need 10,000, we'll bring 10,000. An old man in the crowd stood up. He was Captain Do-Hyun Choi, a war hero who had fought in the border wars 20 years earlier. Admiral, he said, my ship, the Incheon, is ready to go. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning. A woman near the front raised her hand. I'm Engineer Unisong. I own a mining ship. It's not built for fighting, but I volunteer. We need every ship, Admiral Lee said. Fighting ships, cargo ships, medical ships, everything. More people stood up. Dr. Kiwon Nam, who ran a hospital ship. Captain Taehyun Baik, who carried supplies to distant colonies. Hundreds of others. In the Valkyrie Command Center, Commander Thexval watched the Earth broadcast with growing confusion. He had studied human behavior for years. Humans were supposed to be emotional and weak. They were supposed to choose family over strangers every time. This makes no sense, he said to his second-in-command. Why are they refusing? We have the Prime Minister's daughter. Maybe it's a trick, sir. Maybe they're pretending to be brave while they secretly prepare to surrender. No, said another officer. Look at the ships. Our scouts report that human vessels are actually gathering near their military bases. Commander Thexval felt something he had never felt before when dealing with humans. Uncertainty. How many ships? So far, nearly 500, and more are coming every hour. 500 ships to rescue 37 people? Yes, sir. The commander stared at the screen showing Earth. He had conquered 12 different species. All of them had surrendered when he took their leaders' children hostage. It always worked. Sir, his communications officer called out. The humans are sending us another message. Put it on screen. Admiral So-Young Lee appeared on the screen. Behind her, through a window, they could see hundreds of ships gathering in space. To the Valkyrie Empire, she said, you have made a mistake. You think that taking one human will make us weak. Instead, you have made 3 billion humans angry. She stepped closer to the camera. We are coming for our people. All of them. Release the prisoners now, and we will consider letting you live. The message ended. Commander Thexval sat in his chair, staring at the empty screen. In all his years of war, no one had ever threatened him. His empire had the strongest military in the galaxy. No species had ever dared to challenge them directly. Sir, his second-in-command asked quietly. What are your orders? The commander didn't answer. He was thinking about the look in the human admiral's eyes. It was not the look of someone making empty threats. For the first time in his life, Commander Thexval began to wonder if the Valkyrie Empire had chosen the wrong enemy. 2 days after the Valkyrie message, space near Earth looked like nothing anyone had ever seen before. Ships filled the darkness between planets. Big military vessels flew next to tiny personal shuttles. Cargo haulers moved alongside passenger liners. Mining ships with their huge drilling equipment floated next to research vessels covered in scientific instruments. Captain Do-hyun Choi stood on the bridge of his heavy cruiser Incheon, looking out at the incredible sight. In 30 years of military service, he had never seen so many ships in one place. The official count was over 2,000 vessels, and more were still arriving. "Captain," his communications officer said, "Admiral Lee wants to speak with all ship commanders." The main screen lit up, showing Admiral So-young Lee on the bridge of her flagship. Behind her, officers worked quickly at their stations. She looked tired but determined. "Commanders," she began, "in 6 hours we will jump to the edge of Valkyrie space. I want to make something very clear to everyone. This is not a mission of conquest. We are not here to destroy the Valkyrie Empire. We are here to bring our people home." She paused and looked directly at the camera. "I know many of you are not military. You're miners, traders, doctors, engineers. You've never been in a real battle. That's exactly why we're going to win." Captain Choi frowned. That didn't make sense to him. The Valkyrie expect us to act like every other military they've faced. They expect us to attack their strongest positions and try to destroy their fleets. Instead, we're going to show them what humanity really means. Engineer Yuna Song was listening from her mining ship Busan Digger. She had converted her cargo holds to carry medical supplies and food. Her ship wasn't built for war, but she had volunteered anyway. "Every action we take will be broadcast live," Admiral Lee continued. "Not just to Earth, but to every world in the galaxy. The Valkyrie, their enemies, their allies, their own people. Everyone will see exactly what we do and why we do it." Dr. Kiwon Nam nodded from his hospital ship Mercy. He understood what the Admiral was planning. "We're not just rescuing 37 people," Admiral Lee said. "We're showing the galaxy that humans keep their promises, that we don't abandon our own, that we fight for what's right, not just for what's easy." The transmission ended, and the massive fleet began to move. 6 hours later, over 2,000 human ships appeared at the edge of Valkyrie space. It was the largest fleet anyone had ever assembled. The Valkyrie border stations immediately sent out alarms, but the humans did something strange. Instead of attacking, they stopped just outside Valkyrie territory and began broadcasting. "This is Admiral So-young Lee of the Earth Defense Force," came the message on all frequencies. "We are here to retrieve our citizens who were taken illegally. We have no wish to harm innocent Valkyrie people. We ask that you release our people immediately." Commander Thexval watched from his command center deep inside Valkyrie space. The human fleet was enormous, but they had stopped at the border. They weren't attacking. They were asking politely. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "the humans are broadcasting everything on open channels. Anyone in the galaxy can watch what's happening." "What are they saying?" "They're talking about their prisoners, showing pictures of the captured crew, telling stories about their families back on Earth." Commander Thexval pulled up the human broadcasts on his screen. A young man was talking about Captain Jinho Park, showing pictures of the captain with his wife and 2 children. "Captain Park has been exploring space for 15 years, the man said. "He's helped establish 3 new colonies and saved 2 ships that were lost in asteroid fields. His daughter just started university. She wants to be a doctor like Dr. Minji Kim." Another broadcast showed Dr. Minji Kim's research. A scientist explained how her work on alien plants had helped feed millions of people on distant worlds. "These aren't soldiers," the scientist said. "They're explorers, doctors, engineers. People who dedicate their lives to helping others." Commander Thexval turned off the broadcasts. This was all wrong. Enemies weren't supposed to act like this. They were supposed to threaten and demand. They weren't supposed to tell touching stories. "Sir," another officer called out, "we're getting reports from our border stations. The humans aren't just sitting there. Some of their ships are helping people." "What do you mean, helping?" "The mining station at Veltar reported equipment failures 3 days ago. A human ship just arrived and fixed their life support systems. For free." Commander Thexval felt his stomach sink. "Show me." The screen displayed a feed from the Veltar station. A human woman in an engineer's uniform was working alongside Valkyrie technicians. They were laughing together as they repaired a broken air recycler. The human identified herself as Engineer Yuna Song. The officer reported. She said her mining ship had extra parts and she wanted to help. More reports came in. Medical Officer Nayoung Shin had taken her hospital ship to a Valkyrie colony that had been hit by asteroid strikes. She was treating injured Velkari citizens and asking for nothing in return. Merchant Captain Taehyun Baek had delivered food supplies to a Velkari station that had been cut off by equipment failures. When the station commander tried to pay him, he refused the money. "I don't understand," Commander Thexval said. "They have the largest military fleet we've ever seen, and they're using it to help our people? Sir, there's more. The humans have sent messages to our colonies. Not threats, invitations. Invitations to what? To talk, to trade, to work together. They're saying that after they get their people back, they want to be friends." Commander Thexval stared at the reports. In every war he had fought, enemies tried to hurt each other as much as possible. They attacked civilians, destroyed supplies, caused as much pain as they could, but these humans were doing the opposite. "Sir," his communications officer said nervously, "we're getting complaints." "Complaints from who?" "Our own people. The ones the humans are helping. They want to know why we took human prisoners in the first place." The commander felt something cold in his chest. For the first time, his own people were questioning his decisions. "Put me through to the human admiral," he ordered. Admiral Lee's face appeared on the screen. She looked calm and professional. "Commander Thexval," she said, "I hope you're watching what my people are doing." "I am." "Why are you helping our citizens?" "Because they need help. Because that's what humans do. You could be using those ships to attack us, and we could, but we won't, unless you force us to." The admiral leaned forward slightly. "Commander, you made a mistake when you took our people. You thought it would make us weak. Instead, you've shown the galaxy what humans are really like when someone hurts our family. Your fleet is threatening our empire." "No, Commander. Our fleet is offering your empire a choice. You can keep our people and make an enemy of humanity forever, or you can let them go and discover what it's like to have humans as friends." The transmission ended, leaving Commander Thexval alone with his thoughts. Outside his command center, he could hear his officers talking quietly among themselves. The word humans came up often, along with words like generous and helpful. For 60 years, the Velkari Empire had ruled through fear and strength. They had conquered worlds and enslaved entire species. But now, for the first time, someone was offering them something different. The commander looked at the tactical display showing the human fleet. 2,000 ships waiting patiently at the border. Not attacking, not threatening, just waiting. He thought about his own daughter far away on the Velkari homeworld. What would she think if she could see the humans helping Velkari civilians? What would she think about her father's decision to take hostages? For the first time in his career, Commander Thexval began to wonder if there might be a better way to solve problems than kidnapping and threats. But he was trapped now. His empire expected him to be strong. His soldiers expected him to never back down. Even if he wanted to release the humans, how could he do it without looking weak? The answer came from an unexpected source: his own prisoners locked away in the deepest part of his fortress. The revolution started on the outer worlds and spread inward like fire. On planet after planet, Velkari citizens demanded answers from their leaders. They wanted to know why they were fighting endless wars while their colonies struggled with broken equipment and empty food stores. Commander Thexval sat in his command center, watching his empire crumble through his own communication networks. Reports came in every hour of planets declaring independence from the central government. Not to join enemies, but to stop fighting altogether. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "the Council of Elders is demanding that you appear before them immediately." "Let them demand," the commander replied. "Right now I have bigger concerns." "Sir, what about the human prisoners?" That was the question he had been avoiding. Releasing the prisoners would look like surrender, but keeping them would only make things worse. His answer came from an unexpected source. Guard Kelvex entered the command center, something that would normally get him arrested for entering without permission. "Commander," the young guard said, "I need to speak with you." "This is not the time for, it's about the human prisoners, sir." "And about your daughter." Commander Thexval stopped. His daughter Zara lived on the homeworld far from the war zones. "What about my daughter?" "She sent a message, sir. She heard the human broadcasts. She wants to know if they're true." The commander felt his heart sink. His own daughter was questioning him. "She also said something else, sir. She said that if the humans are helping our people while we hold their people prisoner, then maybe we're the bad ones in this war." The words hit Commander Thexval like a physical blow. From the mouth of his own child, he heard what he had been refusing to admit to himself. "Bring me the human prisoners," he ordered. An hour later, all 37 human prisoners stood in the main conference room of the Velkari fortress. They looked tired and thin, but their spirits seemed strong. Dr. Minji Kim stood at the front of the group, calm and dignified. Commander Thexval entered the room with only 2 guards. He looked at the humans for a long moment before speaking. "Dr. Kim," he said, "your information has caused quite a stir in my empire." "I only told the truth," she replied. "Yes, that seems to be the problem." He walked to the large window that showed the space outside. In the distance, the lights of human ships could be seen. "Your fleet is still waiting. They'll wait as long as necessary." "Even though they could destroy this fortress easily?" "That's not why they came." Commander Thexval turned back to the prisoners. "I have been a soldier for 40 years. I have conquered 12 worlds and defeated countless enemies. I thought I understood war." He paused. "But you humans have shown me something I never considered. You've shown me that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose not to fight." Dr. Kim stepped forward. "Commander, it's not too late to make a different choice. What are you suggesting?" "Release us. Work with the human fleet to help your people. End the wars and start building something better. And if I do this, what guarantee do I have that your people won't simply conquer us when we're weak?" Captain Jinho Park spoke up from the back of the group. "Commander, look outside. We brought enough ships to level every Velkari world. Instead, we're fixing your broken equipment and feeding your hungry people. Does that sound like conquest to you?" Commander Thexval was quiet for several minutes. Finally, he made his decision. "You are free to go," he announced. "All of you." The prisoners looked at each other in surprise. "Just like that?" asked Dr. Kim. "Just like that. But I have a request." "What kind of request?" "I want to speak with your admiral. Face to face. I want to discuss the future." 2 hours later, Admiral So-Young Lee sat across from Commander Thexval in the same conference room. Between them sat a simple wooden table that had been brought from the human flagship. "Admiral," the commander began, "I owe you an apology. You owe my people an apology. I'm just here to make sure they get home safely, of course. But I wanted you to know that what your people did, helping our citizens while we held your citizens prisoner, it has changed how my people see this conflict." Admiral Lee nodded. "Sometimes the best way to win a war is to show your enemy that there doesn't need to be a war at all." "Is that what you were doing? Trying to win?" "No, Commander. We were trying to do what was right. The winning just happened naturally." Commander Thexval leaned back in his chair. "Admiral, my empire is falling apart. My people are demanding change. The old ways of ruling through fear and conquest are no longer working." "What are you asking me?" "I'm asking for help. Not military help. Help in learning how to build a society that works without constant war." Admiral Lee was quiet for a moment. "That's a big request, Commander." "I know, but I've seen what your people can do. In 3 days, you've done more good for Velkari citizens than our government has done in years. What about your leaders? The Council of Elders? They'll resist at first, but they're old and set in their ways. The younger generation, like my daughter, they want change. They want peace." Admiral Lee stood up and walked to the window. Outside, human and Velkari ships were now working together to repair a damaged space station. "Commander, if we do this, it won't be easy. Building peace is harder than fighting wars." "I understand. Your people will have to give up conquering other worlds. They're tired of conquering. They want to go home and live normal lives. And you'll have to work with other species as equals, not as subjects. That will be difficult, but we can learn." Admiral Lee turned back to him. "All right, Commander. We'll help, but we do this gradually. Trust has to be built slowly." 3 months later, Dr. Minji Kim stood on the observation deck of the first joint human Velkari research station. Through the large windows, she could see ships from both species working together to build something that had never existed before. A place where former enemies could learn from each other. Her father, Prime Minister Hyunwoo Kim, stood beside her. He had come to the station for the official opening ceremony. "Are you proud of what you've accomplished?" he asked. "It wasn't just me, Dad, it was everyone. The fleet crews who chose to help instead of attack. The Velkari citizens who demanded change. Even Commander Thexval for having the courage to admit he was wrong. And now comes the hard part. Actually making it work." They watched as engineer Unisong worked alongside a Velkari technician to install new equipment. The two were laughing as they struggled with a particularly stubborn power coupling. "Dad," Dr. Kim said, "do you remember what you taught me when I was little?" About how the best way to make a friend is to be a friend? I remember. I think that applies to entire civilizations, too. Prime Minister Kim smiled and put his arm around his daughter. I think you're right. Across the station, Captain Jinho Park was giving a tour to a group of young Velkari students. They were eager to learn about human space exploration techniques. Captain, one student asked, why did your people come to rescue you? It would have been easier to just accept our demands. Captain Park thought for a moment. Because humans believe that every life matters. Not just the important people, not just the powerful people, everyone. Even enemies, especially enemies. Because enemies can become friends if you give them the chance. The student nodded thoughtfully. Is that why you're teaching us now? Instead of fighting us? That's exactly why. In the command center of the station, Admiral Soyoung Lee and Commander Thexval worked together to coordinate supply shipments to struggling Velkari colonies. It was strange to see them as partners instead of enemies. Admiral, the commander said, I have a question that's been bothering me. Go ahead. When your fleet first arrived, you could have destroyed us easily. Why didn't you? Admiral Lee looked up from her reports. Because destroying you wouldn't have brought our people home. It would have just created more pain and anger. But most species would have attacked anyway. Most species haven't learned what humans learned a long time ago. Which is, that the strongest people are the ones who can choose mercy when they have the power to choose revenge. Commander Thexval nodded slowly. I'm beginning to understand why your empire keeps growing while ours was falling apart. We don't have an empire, Commander. We have a community, and communities grow by welcoming new members, not by conquering them. The commander smiled. I think the Velkari people would like to learn about communities. 5 years later, the galaxy was a different place. The Velkari Empire had transformed into the Velkari Republic, with elected leaders instead of military commanders. Former enemies worked together on dozens of joint projects. Trade routes that had been closed by war were now busy with ships carrying goods and ideas between species. Dr. Minji Kim, now Director of Interspecies Relations, often thought about those dark days in the Velkari prison. What had started as a hostage crisis had become the foundation for lasting peace. She kept a picture on her desk of the moment when the human fleet first arrived at Velkari space. 2,000 ships carrying not weapons of war, but tools of hope, sometimes the greatest victories. She realized came not from defeating your enemies, but from showing them a better way to live. And sometimes the strongest thing you could do was choose to help instead of hurt, even when you had every reason to choose revenge. The galaxy was learning that lesson, one species at a time. Deep inside the Velkari fortress, Dr. Minji Kim sat in her small cell, listening to the sounds outside. For 3 days, she had heard increasing activity in the corridors, guards running back and forth, officers shouting orders. Something big was happening. She wasn't alone in her cell. The Velkari had put her with 3 other prisoners, Mechanic Jiwon Ko, Communications Officer Seokmin Han, and Medical Officer Neyoung Park. They had become friends during their imprisonment. Do you hear that? Whispered Seokmin, pressing his ear to the wall. Hear what? Asked Jiwon. The guards are talking about human ships. Lots of them. Dr. Kim felt her heart jump. How many ships? From what I can understand, thousands. They all sat quietly, listening to the alien voices through the walls. The Velkari language was hard to understand, but they had learned some words during their captivity. They keep saying impossible, said Nayoung, and something about helping. Helping? Dr. Kim asked. I think the humans are helping Velkari people somehow. Dr. Kim smiled for the first time in days. That sounded exactly like something Earth would do. Later that day, a guard brought them food. He was young and seemed nervous. Unlike the other guards, this one sometimes talked to the prisoners. Guard Kelvex, Dr. Kim said in careful Velkari. What is happening outside? The young alien looked around to make sure no one was listening. Your people came for you, he said quietly. More ships than anyone has ever seen. Are they attacking? No, that's what makes no sense. They're helping our colonies, fixing broken equipment, bringing food and medicine. My cousin lives on Veltar Station. The humans fixed their life support for free. Dr. Kim and her cellmates exchanged looks. Why does that confuse you? Dr. Kim asked. Because enemies don't help each other. They fight. They try to hurt each other. Humans aren't your enemies, Dr. Kim said gently. We never were. The guard was quiet for a moment. Then why did Commander Thexaval take you prisoner? That was the question Dr. Kim had been wondering about too. The Velkari had plenty of ships and weapons. They didn't need to resort to kidnapping unless— Guard Kelvex, she said carefully. How long has the Velkari Empire been at war? Always. For as long as anyone can remember. And how are those wars going? The young guard looked around again, then sat down near the cell door. Not well, he admitted. We used to win easily. But in recent years, we lose more than we win. Resources are running low. People are tired of fighting. Dr. Kim felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together in her mind. The attack on human colonies, she said. It wasn't about gaining territory, was it? It was about getting a quick victory to make your people feel better. The guard's silence told her she was right. Over the next few hours, Dr. Kim talked with Guard Kelvex whenever he brought food or checked on them. She learned that the Velkari Empire was in serious trouble. Their constant wars had drained their resources. Many colonies were struggling with equipment failures and food shortages. The people were starting to question their leaders. We need to get this information to our fleet, Dr. Kim told her cellmates that night. How? Asked Ji-won. We're locked in here with no way to communicate. Maybe we can make a way, said Seokmin. I know communication systems. If we can get some basic components, like what? Metal wire, a power source, something to focus a signal. Ji-won looked thoughtful. I might be able to get wire from the ventilation system. And the food containers have small power cells. They spent the next day carefully collecting materials. Ji-won used his mechanical skills to pull thin metal wire from hidden places in their cell. Seokmin built a simple transmitter using parts from their food containers. Dr. Kim helped by keeping watch and talking to Guard Kelvex when he came by. By the third night, they had a working communicator. It was crude and weak, but it might be able to reach the human fleet. This is Dr. Minji Kim calling any human ship, Seokmin whispered into the device. Can anyone hear me? Static filled the air for several minutes. Then incredibly a voice answered, Dr. Kim, this is Admiral So-Young Lee. We've been looking for you. Dr. Kim grabbed the communicator. Admiral, we're alive. All 37 prisoners are alive and mostly unharmed. Thank God. Where are you exactly? Inside the main Velkari fortress. But Admiral, I have important information. The Velkari Empire is not what they pretend to be. Over the next hour, Dr. Kim shared everything she had learned. The Empire was failing. Their resources were almost gone. Their people were tired of war. The attack on human colonies was an act of desperation, not strength. Admiral, Dr. Kim said, if you broadcast this information, it could change everything. Broadcast it how? On all frequencies. To every Velkari world. Their people don't know how bad things really are. Their leaders have been lying to them. There was a long pause. Dr. Kim, that could start a civil war in Velkari space, or it could end 60 years of pointless fighting. It's risky. Admiral, sometimes the biggest risk is doing nothing. Another pause. All right, Dr. Kim, we'll do it. But first, we need to get you out of there. How? We're working on that. For now, keep that communicator hidden and stay safe. The next morning, something amazing happened. Instead of attacking the Velkari fortress, the human fleet did something no one expected. Admiral Lee began broadcasting Dr. Kim's information across all of Velkari space. Citizens of the Velkari Empire, her voice came through every radio and television. Your leaders have not told you the truth about your situation. She explained everything. The resource shortages, the military defeats, the lies about human aggression, the real reason for taking hostages. Your empire doesn't have to end, Admiral Lee said. But the war does. There's a better way to live, a better way to solve problems. The broadcasts reached every Velkari world at the same time. On planets across their empire, Velkari citizens learned that their government had been lying to them for years. In his command center, Commander Thexaval watched in horror as his own people began protesting in the streets. Reports came in from dozens of worlds. Demonstrations, demands for answers, calls for change. His second-in-command approached nervously. Sir, we're receiving messages from our own colonies. They're asking if the human broadcasts are true. What did you tell them? Nothing yet, sir. What should we say? Commander Thexaval looked at the screen showing protests across his empire. His people were holding signs demanding peace. They were asking why their sons and daughters had to die in pointless wars. For the first time, he realized that his strength had become his weakness. The people he had tried to protect by conquering others were the same people who were now demanding that he stop. "Sir?" his officer asked again. "Tell them," the commander paused. "Tell them we're considering the human offer." "What offer, sir?" Commander Thexavel looked at the tactical display one more time. 2,000 human ships still waiting patiently at the border, still helping his people, still offering friendship instead of conquest. The offer to find a better way.